Hello friends and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Joycey Joy and today in this lecture we will discuss about China's block on UN action in order to list Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. Now coming to the current affair, China has for the fourth time blocked a bid to designate Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist at the UN Security Council. Now discussing briefly about UN Security Council. UN Security Council is a principal organ of the United Nations and it is charged with the maintenance of international peace and security. It is important for you to understand some basics about UN Security Council to understand this lecture and also for any competitive examination, especially the UPSC examination. So we will discuss briefly about the Security Council. So the most important function of UN Security Council is maintaining international peace and security, and the powers of the UN Security Council includes establishment of peacekeeping operations, the establishment of international sanctions, and the authorization of military action. So these are the most important functions or the objectives of UN Security Council. So the powers of the UN Security Council are exercised through the UN Security Council resolutions, which are enforceable in nature, comprising both legally binding and legally non-binding resolutions. So there are both the type of resolutions, legally binding and legally non-binding. Now coming to the permanent members or the P5 of the UN Security Council. So the basic structure of the UN Security Council is a set of 15 members, of which 5 members are permanent members, which is referred as P5. So remember that whenever you hear the term P5 in the news, it relates to the 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council. And these 5 members who are the permanent members or the P5 of the Security Council have veto powers. So these members are China, France, Russia, US and the UK. So these 5 are the permanent members of UN Security Council, and there are also 10 elected non-permanent members and they have a term of 2 years. And the Security Council's 5 permanent members have the power to veto any substantive resolution. Now coming to the non-permanent members. There are total 10 non-permanent members of UN Security Council and they are elected by the United Nations General Assembly. They hold the office for 2 years. So their term is 2 years. So these are some basic understanding about the UN Security Council. Now coming back to our topic, that is China's block on UN action on listing Masood Azhar as a global terrorist. So we will see how China has used its veto power in this regard. But before we move on to the details of it, this is our channel StudyIQ and we are providing pen drive courses for various competitive examinations including SSC bank courses, UPSC optionals, SSC JE courses, teaching examinations, railway examinations, defense examinations, RBI grade B, NABARD grade A, UGC NET, UPSC Civil Services Examination, CLAT exams for various state PSCs and also for various professional courses. You can visit our website www.studyiq.com for more details, or you can call to any of these numbers for more information. Now, let us first understand what was India's proposal. From 2016 to 2018, India proposes to list Masood Azhar, the chief of Jaish-e-Mohammed, with the evidence of Jaish-e-Mohammed involvement in the Pathankot air base attack. But this proposal was foiled by China. We have seen that China is among the P5, permanent 5, and China has the veto power. So China placed technical holds on the listing and then finally vetoed it. And this veto from China came despite the fact that Jaish-e-Mohammed is banned, and in UN Security Council listing it is noted that Azhar as its leader and founder, and Jaish-e-Mohammed accepted funds from Osama bin Laden. Now, even though China is well aware of the evidence against Jaish-e-Mohammed and Masood Azhar, China is not ready to withdraw the objections. The reason is the relationship between Pakistan and China, which we have already discussed in a previous lecture. Now, the India-China relations have improved in 2018 April after the Wuhan summit. Even after the Wuhan summit, when India-China relations had improved, China is unwilling to align itself with India on the concerns of cross-border terrorism emanating from Pakistan. So, India's proposal since 2016 is to list Jaish-e-Mohammed chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist at the UN Security Council. Now, this is briefly about India's proposal. Now, moving on to the efforts of India after the Pulwama attacks. Now, after the Pulwama attack recently, the attack was claimed by Jaish-e-Mohammed. And government has made enormous efforts to list Masood Azhar in the UN Security Council's global terrorist list, and India has taken various diplomatic efforts to make this possible. It reached out to several governments, shared a report on Azhar with each member of the Security Council. And in this regard, India had made a special effort with Beijing also to list Azhar as a global terrorist. Now coming to present move of China, the proposal to designate Azhar was moved by France, UK and the US. So this came after a suicide bomber of the Jaish-e-Mohammed killed 40 CRPF soldiers in Jammu and Kashmir's Pulwama. We have discussed about the Pulwama attack in detail. You can find the lecture on Pulwama attack on the StudyIQ channel. Please refer to the video if you are not aware of the background facts. Now, after the Pulwama attack, US, UK and France has moved a resolution in the UN Security Council in order to designate Azhar as a global terrorist in the UN Security Council. And all the Al-Qaeda Sanctions Committee members had given 10 days of time in order to raise any objections to the proposal by France, UK and USA. Now, just before the no objection period deadline, China put a technical hold on the proposal. Now, technical hold here means China has asked for more time in order to examine the proposal. Now, the technical hold is valid for up to 6 months and this can be extended by up to 3 months. So, in total 9 months. Now, what are the implications of such a decision taken by China? It has put a technical hold. First of all, this is a setback to India's post-Pulwama diplomatic strategy. India has reached out to each and every country who are the permanent members of the Security Council in order to support India in this move. Now, this is a setback to the diplomatic strategy adopted by India. It has also approached China in this regard. And secondly, this will also have an impact on the Indo-China relations. And the Ministry of External Affairs has expressed disappointment over China's decision. Now, India will continue to pursue all available avenues to ensure that terrorists involved in the attacks on Indian citizens are brought to justice. So, this will have an impact on the Indo-China relations. And now, what is the way ahead for India? Now, India should consider confronting China to persuade it to change its stance by means of incentives or coercion. This is because any kind of international pressure, especially from the Western countries in this regard, has served as counterproductive in the past examples. So, now the option that is left out is to incentivize China. Now, if we look at cutting down imports from China to India, if we take such a punitive action, this will also may not provide enough yield because China is not dependent on Indian economy. China is an economy which has huge forex reserves, huge surplus of trade with other countries. So, for a country like China with its huge trade surplus and economic outputs, cutting down the imports from China will not seem to be productive. So, India can be more successful if it can identify certain incentives that it can offer to China in order to review the position taken by China in this regard. Now, these incentives can be bilateral incentives like Indo-China involvement, or it can be trilateral or triangular, like for example Islamabad can also be included in this talks. You can find the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page, and for any queries regarding your preparations you can get in touch with me on my Facebook page or you can email me at joycey.studyiq@gmail.com. Thank you.